Hey everyone. In this video, we're going to be talking about several reactions of monosaccharides. So chemical reactions that we can do on sugars. And those two reactions are going to be reduction and oxidation. And then we'll define the term reducing sugars. And by the end of this video, you should be able to predict the products of oxidation and reduction of sugars. So let's start with the reduction of monosaccharides. So recall that an aldehyde can be reduced to an alcohol. That was one of the reactions we learned in chapter 12. And that reaction is true when we're looking at sugars. So if you take the aldehyde and you treat it with hydrogen gas and a platinum catalyst, you can reduce it from the double bond to the oxygen to a single bond to OH. So the aldehyde becomes an alcohol. And this whole molecule here is known as a sugar alcohol because its carbonyl group is now an alcohol. And so the reason we care about this is sugar alcohols are one of the most common calorie-free sweeteners. So to name these, we replace the "-ose" ending with "-it-all." So sorbitol, xylitol, mannitol, these are all sugar alcohols. Now, your body requires the carbonyl in order to digest it. Your digestive enzymes need this functional group. So when you destroy that functional group by reducing it, your body can no longer process this. Now, it still binds to your tongue the same way, and so it still tastes sweet. But when it gets to your stomach, your body can't really do anything with it. And so it ends up just going right through you undigested. And so it's a calorie-free sweetener. Tastes sweet, gives you no calories. Also doesn't give bacteria any calories. And so we use these in chewing gums a lot because it's not feeding the bacteria in your mouth anything that they can use to grow because it's not really a food anymore. So it has the benefit of making your gum taste sweet, but it doesn't give you any calories and it doesn't give the bacteria anything that they can grow on. So most common artificial sweeteners, especially in chewing gum, are sugar alcohols. All right, let's do a practice problem. Draw the product of the reduction of D-mannose here. Well, I can see that there is an aldehyde, and we're treating it with hydrogen gas and a platinum catalyst. So I would expect that this aldehyde here, where it was a double bond O, is going to become just an OH, and we're going to add another H here onto that carbon. And our 4 chirality centers will stay the same. And so the 2 hydrogens that we added are here and here. So we added 2 hydrogens across the double bond. And so now we have a sugar alcohol. If it was named mannose before, now it's named mannitol. So the aldehyde becomes an alcohol. Everything else stays the same. All right, let's talk about oxidation. So monosaccharides that have an aldehyde group can be oxidized, and the aldehyde becomes a carboxylic acid. We learned about this reaction in chapter 12. And one of the most common reagents that we use to oxidize sugars is known as Benedict's reagent. We'll be using this in lab. And Benedict's reagent is basically a solution of copper 2+. And so the copper 2 plus turns into copper 1 oxide. Copper 2 plus is blue, copper 1 oxide is red. And so you get this nice color change from blue to red. And that tells you that you had a successful oxidation of your sugar. And so the aldehyde here is becoming a carboxylic acid because we're adding that extra oxygen right there. So 2 bonds to oxygen versus 3 bonds to oxygens. This is an oxidized form. This would be known as a sugar acid because it has the carboxylic acid group. So sugar acids produced from the oxidation of an aldehyde. They're named by replacing the ose ending with onic acid. So if this is glucose, this is gluconic acid. And any carbohydrate that reduces another substance is called a reducing sugar. So if it's able to be oxidized and it is reducing the copper, it's known as a reducing sugar. So the definition of a reducing sugar is something that is able to be oxidized. Now, fructose is a ketohexose. In chapter 14, we told you that ketones can't oxidize, and that's true. But fructose and other ketoses have this unique property where they can rearrange and isomerize into aldoses. So under certain conditions, the ketose can rearrange to form an aldose, and then the aldose oxidizes. So fructose, even though it's a ketose, will eventually become oxidized because it first converts into the aldose. And then once it's in the aldose form, it oxidizes to the sugar acid. Let's do one study check here. Draw the product of the oxidation of D-mannose. So if we're trying to oxidize this thing, only the functional group on top is going to change. So where it used to be an aldehyde, it's now going to be the carboxylic acid. Everything else is going to stay the same. Our 4 chirality centers maintain the same orientation. And if we were to name this, mannose becomes oops. Oh my gosh, can't write right now. Mannitonic acid. So the ose becomes onic acid. So mannose, mannitonic acid. So once again, to recap, we can have reduction where the aldehyde becomes an alcohol, or we can have oxidation where the aldehyde becomes a carboxylic acid. Those are the 2 reactions of monosaccharides. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.